Okay, hello everyone. Welcome to our meeting with Ms. Roberta Gambarini from now it's 2, right? It's 2 p.m.
Yeah,
from
2 p.m.
from New
is
York.
the solar hour. Yeah.
I'm going to admit those who join us right now. So, how should I introduce you? Roberta Gambarini is a wonderful singer and a wonderful musician. She is also doing some jazz education. I think it's part of her passion. Um, you're from Torino, right? From
Yeah.
Piemonte, and she's now been living in New York for quite a long time. She's recording quite a few albums with many of the legends, I must say. She was fortunate enough to record with some of my personal heroes, saxophone heroes. And we're honored to have her in our for a meeting and some music playing in our fan club from Israel. Welcome.
Thank you. Great to be here. Great to be here.
So before we started this formal, so-called formal interview, we talked about this pandemic here that we're having. So what were you doing during this strange and awful year?
Uh, I chose to isolate for, medical reasons and to be really safe. So, um, the story, my trajectory really through the pandemic was that the pandemic started in Italy when I was there. And actually, I was scheduled to play at Blue Note in Milan on February 25th of 2020. And on February 24th, they closed down all the public places. So mine was the first gig canceled in Italy, one among the first gigs. And but it was only in Italy at the time. They were saying, out of precaution, the cases were starting to ramp up near Milano. And so they canceled in Milano, and after Milano I was supposed to fly to the south of Spain, in Andalusia, near Malaga, for a week of seminars and clinics. And so what happened is, I flew to Andalusia and I did this seminar. And at the time, during this week of seminars, no cases were yet discovered in Spain, or at least they were not declared. And the day before I was supposed to leave Spain and come back to the US, some cases were detected in Madrid. So, but I was still able to catch a flight and go back to New York. So I arrived in New York on the second day of March, March 2nd, 2020. And I watched with horror from here the news of the pandemic blowing up in Italy. And I just knew that it was just a matter of weeks or days, even before it would blow up here too in New York. So I was trying to tell everybody, be careful, be careful. People at the time, in the early March 2020, the people here did not really have a notion of what was about to happen. And so in the at the end of March, beginning of April, the pandemic hit in New York too, and it was really, really virulent. It was awful. It was like the hospital near my home in Brooklyn was one of those hospitals that you saw probably on the news, where the doctors were understaffed. They didn't even have enough masks. They had to cover themselves with garbage bags and stuff. It was a nightmare. And so basically after that, I have chosen to isolate until vaccination, really, because to me it was the only way. And so yeah, I stayed at home. I haven't gone anywhere. I, of course, all the gigs were canceled, but that's a given. And I'm going to receive my second shot of Pfizer on the 27th, and then I'm going to start going out again, finish my album. I had started a recording before the pandemic. That is right there. So I'm going to finish and go in the studio in mid-April for the mixes. I have some gigs scheduled in Germany in May, but I don't know. And some gigs in Italy scheduled in the summer, question mark, but hopefully things will get better. I really don't know. However, personally, I did some teaching online, some seminars, everything, but I didn't go anywhere by choice, and I'm comfortable that I did. I'm glad I did it. So I have been in really good health, thank God. Unfortunately, I've lost a lot of people to this horrific disease. Some of my friends that were sick months ago are still sick. My best friend, she still has problems with her breathing, and she had the COVID in April. So it's almost a year with constant symptoms. We have a lot of people here that are so-called long haulers. They suffer from symptoms that keep going on and on. It's really something. But as far as I'm concerned, I did what I could while protecting myself and others, and hopefully things will start on opening up a little bit.
You were
Yeah, they're vaccinated, and a lot of people in the US. We got the Johnson and Johnson now. A lot of musicians in the New York area are already fully vaccinated. So who knows? Hopefully,
you
hopefully
were
it'll be.
I saw that you were also active in on social media to to convince those who are not yet convinced, to take care of themselves, watch out, and now to be vaccinated.
Yeah, yeah, because a lot of people died that I knew very well. That was very close, and yeah, it was really tough in Italy too. And then I saw things happening in Italy. So hopefully, things will get better. I'm sad about this retrieval suspension, temporary suspension of the AstraZeneca vaccinations in Europe, not only in Italy, because I fear that it will undermine people's confidence in the vaccines. And so I don't know what's going to happen, but hopefully, I don't know, hopefully we'll reestablish confidence in that. So
We are looking to the future, hopefully in an optimistic way. Let's
yeah, it's going to take some more time, but hopefully it'll all get. It
okay.
just takes patience.
Let's pause this a little bit of a heavy topic and listen to one of your songs from your debut album. Is that okay?
Sure, sure.
You went away, I let you. We broke the ties that bind. I wanted to forget you and leave the past behind. Still the magic of the night I met you seems to stay forever on my mind. The sky was blue and high above, The moon was new and so was love. This eager heart of mine was singing, hey lover, where can you be? You came at last, love had its day, that day is past, you've gone away. This aching heart of mine keeps crying, hey lover, come back to me. When I remember every little thing you used to do, I'm so lonely. Every road I walked along with you. No one knows I'm lonely. The sky is blue, the night is cold, the moon is new and love is old. And as I'm waiting here, this heart of mine keeps crying, lover, come back to me. The sky was blue and high above, the moon was new and so was love. Eager heart of mine was crying all the time, lover, come back to me. You came at last, love had its day, that day is past, you've gone away. Eager heart of mine keeps crying, lover, come back to me. When I remember every little thing you used to do, I'm just as long as I can be. Every road I walked along with you. No wonder I'm lonely. The sky is blue, the night is cold, the moon is new and love is old. And as I'm waiting here, this heart of mine keeps crying, lover, come back to me. I'm so lonely. Every road I walked along with you. No one knows I'm lonely. The sky is blue, the night is cold, the moon is new and love is old. And as I'm waiting here, this heart of mine keeps crying, lover, come back, say come back to
Okay, that was great, actually.
Can't unmute. Oh, okay. I am unmuted. I'm not really great at using Zoom yet. So it's like,
So I thought when I first heard your album that it was really fantastic. I mean, I was blown away as you know as the first album that I heard from you. It was really a great experience. I think everybody here knows the pianist on this track. It's Tamir Hendelman, our own Tamir Hendelman. Um, Oren, one of the fans, asked, "Do you remember who the drummer is, Roberta?"
I think on this track is it's Jola Barbara, I think. I should check because it's there were two different drummers on that recording. Yeah, I think it's Jola Barbara, Tamir Hendelman, and probably John Clayton.
Yeah, the
If I'm
trio.
not wrong.
It was really nice. So, um, Noah asks, um, how do you decide which standards to add to your repertoire or record in an album?
Um, it's that's something that takes a lot of time for me because there are so many beautiful songs, but the choice of a song for me has to be it's essentially tied to something that I can relate very strongly to, either from the lyric, mostly from the lyric, but also because probably like in case of Lover Come Back to Me, something that I've been very passionate about or listening to since I was very little, and something that I'm really drawn to. There must be something that makes me want to do this tune from the standpoint of a personal experience, even if because it's a tune that means a lot to me, or a lyric that I'm very drawn to. Yeah, that's mostly. But it takes me a long time to pick the songs. That's and I really kind of a really not agonize on it, but on the choice. But I stay a lot of time. Why this and not that? Because they're all great songs, but I have to pick the ones that are meaningful or that I think that I can say something with. So, and that takes time. So,
Right.
mm.
And what about the musicians you choose to play with? Do you prefer to play and record with the same musicians or to diversify?
No, I was fortunate enough to have been on the road for a long time, and I've had the chance to work with a number of musicians. So I met a lot of great musicians. So I have a pool, let's say, a group of musicians that Tamir Hendelman is part of this pool that are also friends, and also Tamir is a great friend, and somebody that I really am comfortable with on a musical level and on a human level. And usually these are people that we've been around the world with, that we had adventures, that we ate in restaurants. To me, it's important to have also that convivial aspect in the music. And so there's a pretty fairly large group of musicians, and according to their characteristics and their gifts. For example, now I just finished right before the pandemic. I have to go back and mix it, an album in duo with pianist Cyrus Chestnut, who's another good friend of mine. We toured a lot with the Dizzy Gillespie All Stars big band for many many years. So it depends on the the gifts, specific gifts of a certain musician and in the occasion. But yeah, they change, but it's always part of a group of musical family, so to speak. I did another album in duo. It came shortly before the pandemic as well. It only came out in Japan though, with Jeb Patton, this great piano player who is also though part of was, or maybe was part of the Heath brothers and played with Jimmy Heath. And so we also play together with Jimmy Heath. So, it's all musical family. And then according to the situations, there's possibility to choose or whoever is available, or who, whatever. But it's all people that are part of my family, let's say. Mm.
And how do you, Shmulik asked, how do you, when you choose to play a ballad, do you get in, how do you get into this specific mood you need to be in order to interpret it correctly?
But that's a whole that's a craft. It's like it's similar to the craft and the work that an actor has to put in. So not in the sense that you're acting something that's not true, but in really in the sense that the art of interpretation. So first of all, you have to choose something that resonates with you. And so and then you have to get into the lyric, especially for the ballad, into the lyric, and really unearth the meaning and the nuance, and connect it to your personal experience. Otherwise it doesn't work. It has to be true for you. And so it's a lot of work. It's like an introspective work with the ballad, a lot on the basis of the storytelling. And I mean the lyric, but also the melody, because the melody itself tells a story, and then the harmony. So it's a long, I would say, introspective work on the music and on the lyric. Yeah. So,
So I mentioned that you were born in Torino. So can you tell us a little bit about your origin story, how you got to
yeah, well,
where
I
you
got
are?
into jazz because my father was a big jazz fan. He had a big record collection. My mother also loved jazz, loved music, but especially jazz. They met at a jazz concert, and my father really infused in me the passion for this music from a very, very young age. And so I was sent to an English school for children when I was very, very little. So, I started learning the language, and then at the same time listening and listening all day at home to the greats, Duke Ellington, Dexter Gordon. He used to play tenor saxophone, and my parents used to take me with them to jazz concerts. They were volunteers in a jazz club in northern Italy. They would help, prepare the flyers and everything. And a lot of greats would come and play in this club. Clark Terry, Dexter Gordon, like I said, Johnny Griffin, Eddie Lockjaw Davis, and they would bring me along, and I saw a lot of these greats. I saw Al Cohn, Zoot Sims. I mean, stuff
Mm.
like that you don't think. But I was very young. I was a child, so Dexter Gordon, Art Farmer, Slide Hampton, Johnny Griffin, because he used to live in south of France. So all these greats, Horace Parlan and Kenny Drew. I'll never forget Kenny Drew. What a pianist he was. And so I got to see a lot of these greats at a very young age, and while listening to the records. And that's how I got into this music. Yeah, my father loved jazz and played saxophone, tenor saxophone, when he was young, but then he couldn't turn it into a profession. It was kind of too hard. So those were years that were a little bit difficult. And so that's basically that's basically
How did you
why.
get to New York? When and how?
Oh, I came to New York. I wish I had come really early when I was a teenager, but I couldn't. But I came as soon as I could in 1998. And I had already started, because I started as a teenager to perform in Italy. And the first gig I did in this club where my parents were volunteering had a local rhythm section. I was kind of the mascot of the club. So girl was there. I knew all the songs. Night in Tunisia. I used to, oh God. And so I started doing these little gigs with this local rhythm section, and then I started really. I got into, I know, studied and everything, but then I started like having a career in Italy, even if I was super young. And I did a bunch of festivals. I was with a vocal group at the beginning. It was called the Italian Vocal Ensemble. Then I went solo. My mentor was a great piano player. I got the chance to play with a lot of great Italian jazz musicians like Gianni Basso, who was a great tenor saxophone player. Renato Sellani was an amazing pianist. Franco Cerri, Enrico Rava. I played in that circuit, and but I always wanted to, because of that imprinting when I was so little, seeing these giants on stage, seeing Clark Terry, and I wanted to go to come to America and go to see where this music would come from, and hopefully have the possibility to talk longer with these musicians, to ask more questions, to maybe spend time a little bit with them. And my secret hope was in a mentorship, um, because I realized that, I mean, there were not many jazz schools back in the day in Italy, but there was some jazz educations. But I thought I wanted to not just learn the music at school in another place. I wanted to go there and try to absorb by osmosis. So that was my intention. And I wish I had done it earlier, because the one great regret is that I never got to meet Dizzy Gillespie, who was my idol. But it's curious because almost by chance or by fate, I don't know, when I came here, the first people whom I met were all of Dizzy Gillespie's closest collaborators. It's Jimmy Heath, um, James Moody, Slide Hampton. So it was wild. It was almost like I was drawn in that area. And Dizzy is my biggest idol, and role model, philosophical life role model. I wish I had met him in person. Yeah, that's my big regret, because I feel his spirit, around all this. Even when you were with Moody, you could feel the spirit of Dizzy. And, the great Mike Longo, who was Dizzy Gillespie's piano player, and he was the one who took all the teachings of Dizzy, who was a great natural teacher, and put them into like a sort of a little system that he would teach and share to people. That was incredible. So I studied with Mike Longo also for that. Unfortunately, Mike Longo was the first casualty of COVID
Yeah.
in New York last year. So I'd like to remember him as a great, great musician and a great, great educator. But it was an education based on the principles, philosophical and musical, that Dizzy kind of shared. So it was something different and unique. Mm.
So after so many years in New York, do you consider yourself to be an American or Italian?
Um, I neither. I consider myself a New Yorker, which is a different animal. It's like a category aside. A New Yorker is not really an American, but it's not anymore the immigrant that it used to be. So like that, because I don't like to define myself too much. I mean, I was born in Italy, and certainly I'm Italian, but I don't like to. I don't like to define too much. I like, maybe because of my upbringing and the way I was educated. My parents encouraged me to study foreign languages very soon. I was always attracted by everything that's different from where I come from. So literature, whatever. I was always looking for to understand how other people lived and thought. And in fact, this is my fascination with the philosophy of Dizzy Gillespie. Dizzy was a person who musically, I mean, jazz is African American music, but the philosophy of Dizzy was that jazz is a type of music that can has the power to be understood beyond barriers of language, of religion, whatever country. So I like that philosophy, which was Dizzy. He made this big band called the United Nations. So I like the concept. So I don't like to just mm, pigeonhole in one corner of the globe. Ideally, I would like to be of the
But
globe. And there's a cat.
probably you have friends who tell you, okay, this is very Italian, or you're
Oh
acting
yeah, no,
Italian.
I have traits. I have Italian traits. I like to cook. Oh yeah, 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 yeah. But I like to enter in dialogue with people. And I say this because, especially in America and New York, maybe not so much in New York, but in the rest of America, people tend to isolate in stagnant compartment from each ethnicity, and I like to go and see how things look on the other side, because I think it's interesting.
So
So,
Amichai asks, do you also record in Italian or just in
oh
English?
yeah, 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 yeah. No, I record in Italian. So far I haven't done too much in Italian. I just but I've already recorded that will be out more in Italian. Yes, yes, I record in Italian. I recorded the famous tune Estate on my album So in Love. I forgot to send it to you. Sorry, I could have sent it. And what else? I have recorded some Italian songs in a project that I have with the great Cuban pianist Chucho Valdés. There's a lot of great Italian songs, very melodic, and I will most definitely do more in the near future. Absolutely, yeah. I like to actually do a full album of Italian melodies. Um, yeah, after this pandemic is over, I have a lot of ideas. Mhm,
So you mentioned Moody and you mentioned Jimmy Heath. So let's
mhm.
listen to one of your songs from the album we did together with Jimmy Heath, with also with Tutti Heath, and let's talk later on a little bit about connecting spirits. Okay.
Okay, sure.
The music is the motion of the universe and time. It's moving and flowing along with every breath that you take. Just dig into the groove and you will find deep in your bones sweet tones. And all of a sudden you will find there is rhythm at the source of all things. The truth in your art, the beat of your heart. The world around is dancing to the music of our minds. Our bodies are coming to life with every step that we make. Just let the spirit move you and your doubts will disappear. No fear, cause all of a sudden you will know there is rhythm at the source of all things. To make your life whole and lift up your soul. The rhythm is calling you to rise and high, to seek for the truth and find the reason why. You live in a body that can tell no lie. So make a move, don't be late, feel the groove, just don't wait. Show it the ooh, ow, shop to the boo, shall we out? Oh, it lit up, shall we? Double boo, shall bum boo it, do dip boo it, dip do do do. Oh, shall we? Bodies are coming to life with every step that we make. Just let the spirit move you and your doubts will disappear. No fear, cause all of a sudden you will know there is rhythm at the source of all things to make your life whole and lift up your soul.
So that was the great Jimmy Heath.
Yeah, this is a tune of Jimmy Heath. And a couple of years ago, we recorded this album called Connecting Spirits. I have the cover here, Connecting Spirits. This is a project I've been wanting to do for a long time because Jimmy Heath is one of the greatest composers in history. It's comparable, really, you have Strayhorn, Mingus, Thelonious Monk, and you have Jimmy Heath. But a lot of his compositions that were incidentally written with the voice in mind, because he loves the human voice. He was very good friends with Sarah Vaughan. He always thought about voice when he wrote. But for some reason, they did not meet a lot of, they did not have a lot of recordings, these songs. You have Gingerbread Boy, City Eye, but these songs that we recorded were songs that he cared a lot about, and for good reason, because they're amazing, but never really got the chance to be recorded much, especially by singers. So and he writes lyrics too. wrote lyrics too. And so some of the songs on this album have Jimmy's lyrics, and some I wrote lyrics to. This one was my lyric called The Thumper. The Thumper is the original tune, original title. And yeah, so I'm very happy about this album. Some of these melodies, especially the ballads, are, if you want to play a ballad from there, because there's this incredible melodic lines that are so vast and beautiful and gorgeous. So that's what I like about the music of Jimmy. And yeah, so that was a work that I did, and we played in several festivals. It was, as you know, Jimmy died at the beginning of the pandemic, really. Not of COVID, but he had a disease. And yeah, it was quite close to Jimmy. He was one of my mentors. Miss him a lot. And actually, we before he got really sick, we recorded with his big band, and I sang a couple of songs with this big band, a couple of his songs. It will be probably out in a few months. Yeah, but I'm glad I got to do this album. So, and there's so many more songs. Actually, not long before he died, he called me and said, "Are you going to write lyrics to this other song? There's another song incredible called Inside Your Heart." I said, yeah, yeah, next time I see you, come see me, because he moved to Atlanta. So we can work on these lyrics. And he was already very sick. But until the last minute, he was thinking of these songs and, you know, doing more of his music. And mm, yeah. So actually, I have more music of Jimmy Heath. I could make another album I'm thinking of, but we'll see.
So I play this song because the Thumper is a favorite album of mine.
Oh, of
Um,
mine too. Yeah.
it's
Okay.
it's from the late 50s. You guys should listen to it. It's from the late 50s with Nat Adderley and Curtis Fuller and Wynton Kelly and Paul Chambers
Paul
and Tutti
Chambers. Yeah.
Heath. It's a wonderful album. It's so good to that you did this rendition, this new. I mean, I personally I thank you for that.
Oh,
Um, when when you're um, when you're doing this, let's say a tribute album, like a concert album,
mm-hmm.
um, does this constrain you, or I mean, because you have like a limited amount of music to choose from, or rather liberate you? That's also a question by Noah.
I rarely do concept albums. This one, Connecting Spirits, was an exception because it was based on the music of Jimmy Heath, and for the reasons that I said before, because I feel like these are music that I've known since I was little, and knowing Jimmy, I know his fondness for the human voice, but for some reason they never were recorded, and I wanted to kind of get this music to be known. So if you want to call that concept, it's more of a concept, is like in the case of this album, is more of a labor of love. It comes out of a friendship, love, and respect. So I don't know if you want to call it's a concept too, but it's more of a blood, flesh and blood thing. And for the rest, I don't think I ever did a concept album. Usually, when I go in the studio, the first album, Easy to Love, and everything I did in the studio, I go in the studio with people, part of my musical family, and I record often, maybe sometimes even more tunes than what I need, what I feel. And then after I record it, then I look at the songs, and I say, okay, this could be good with this other thing, this guy. So it's like, I don't get in the studio with the concept. The concept comes up later, usually, if there's a concept, unless it's a special project.
Right.
But even the special project is not like a concept. It's more like yeah, it's more like a love of something particular, or an inspiration for something. Yeah. That's at least how. The same thing with this album in duo with Cyrus Chestnut. We just went and recorded whatever, and then I know we'll have more tunes, even more tunes, and we'll just can pick and put together one after the other. Then usually a theme emerges.
Chestnut
Usually.
is a monster. I mean,
Oh yeah, Cyrus. Yeah, it's incredible.
so Roberta, um, I was wondering, I mean, is there a difference between the way Italian that you were perceived as a woman musician in Italy than in New York? Was it
Hmm.
easier for you to develop yourself and to make progress in New York than in Italy?
Oh boy, it's a long story. um, in Italy, especially, in the 90s, where when I started, late 80s, 90s, throughout the 90s. Um, well, Italy um, is not a country that is known for its progressiveness towards women. So shall I say like this? So yeah, of course, there's a lot of problems in Italy. Um, but when I came to New York, I have to say, on the surface, there were less problems, but it's not necessarily. I mean, I found a lot of misogyny also in New York, in some environments. Um, a lot of the jazz business is also very homophobic, very. So, every
Really?
place has its own problems. I don't like that at all, the homophobia. So, this, I would say it's a problem that's common to many cultures, but it's just unravels in slightly different ways. But you always have to find a way around it. So no place is immune to that, I would say. In America, because for the fact that there's a thing about business, talent is thought as how can I say, productive in terms also of money. There's a money, you can monetize talent in America.
Commodity.
Yeah, a commodity. Whereas in Italy, no, it's all a matter of very Byzantine status and old structures. It's more of a caste system in Italy. In America, it's more of a commercially, inclined. But in both cases, yes, there is always space for discrimination, and it just develops in a different way. So uh, wherever you go, I say to people, to the young girls especially, the only way you get out of this problem is if you know your stuff. You know your stuff, and then if you know your stuff, people who don't have bad intentions, they will respect you, and they will interact with you on the basis of music, and some won't anyway. And to those who don't, you have two choices: either you punch them in the face, or you go away and work with people who will appreciate you. That's it. But the basic is you have to know your stuff, and that's it. Maybe even in a more thorough way than maybe somebody who's of a different gender. but anyway, you got to know your stuff, because you got to know your stuff, period. I'm kind of a little bit pragmatic in that. um i don't like um I don't like to put the issue ahead, like, oh, I'm a woman, therefore I need. The ideal thing in music, when things work, I notice, is when people are interact as people, not as girl, boy, man, woman. People, musician is not musician or musicianness, is musician, period. Not saying this because I saw the history of jazz is full of great women geniuses like Mary Lou Williams, Melba Liston. I had the honor of meeting Melba Liston, and I saw the respect. I saw, Moody, Slide. I saw they were bowing. This was a queen, and I mean, not a queen in the sense that this was royalty. They were respecting someone as a peer, and she deserved that. Now the question is, we got to get to the point where we earn the the respect. Is a lot of work to do, a lot of work to do, and then somebody will still choose to not respect, but in that case you say, yo, bye. I go somewhere else.
So you,
That's, in my
you
opinion, that's the
mentioned,
only way.
sorry.
Hmm? In my
So
opinion, it's the only way to approach it. Otherwise you get lost in a sea of conceptual things, and we got to make music and not concepts. The music speaks for itself. Yes.
so you mentioned the misogyny that you experienced, you experience or are experiencing here in New York.
Oh
Do you
yeah.
think do you think that's part of the reason why there aren't as many jazz female musicians as men?
um well, but there are a lot of great musicians who are coming up, um and who have been coming up, great female musicians. There's Sherelle Cassidy, great alto saxophone player. In the band, in the Dizzy Gillespie All Stars big band, these elders, Frank West, Moody, Jimmy Heath, they were always encouraging towards young women of value. That's the point. So Sherelle is a killer alto saxophone player. She's a beast. And so um, there are a lot of great women musicians in New York City, and they are there are more and more. So there's Alexa Tarantino. She plays in the Jazz at Lincoln Center. She's a young saxophonist. There's well, and there's a Nat Cohen for forever. She's one of the greatest instrumentalists in New York. So the truth is, there are a lot of women, and there will be more, in spite of
And
whatever
do you
there
see a
is.
change for the better? I mean,
Yeah,
from the 90s to now?
I think so. Yeah, more and more. So, but that was bound to be, because more women um, get into the instrumental practices or the compositional practices, then the more there will be good music made by them. It's about the music. Is really so. The misogyny is a societal aspect, you know, and then there's the musical aspect. So the musical aspect is what rises above always. So, and it's not easy for anybody. You try being an immigrant in America. There's several categories that have it hard. It's not only women. It's hard for everybody. Try being poor. Try being black. Try being this. Try being that. Try being a woman. So we have all these problems. So the music always rises above. If you have the I would say the tenacity. It takes a lot of tenacity in any way.
It's another American word.
Tenacità. No, it's also Italian. Tenace actually derives from Latin, right? I think it's a very tenace. yeah, you have to keep at it. It always the music comes always first, in my opinion. Yeah, it's the music comes first, and then from the music you understand the societal aspects. But the other way around, I don't know. I saw it done this way by the greats. You play music to the best and purest and strongest of your abilities, and then this will somehow rise above.
So I'm gonna end. I have a few short questions, and then I'm gonna open up for some questions from other people, not just myself. If you could give only one single advice to a new jazz musician, what would that advice be?
Just one? It would be more than one, but I let me try just one. um, well, it's what the greats would tell you, would told me. I mean, I would just pass on the same advice that they gave me, which is just keep at it, keep practicing, keep investigating, keep dedicating yourself to the language in the most in the purest and most respectful way to the art form you can. Just that, keep working at it. That's what I was told to do. That's trying to do. Mm.
What is one thing that you know today that you wish you would have known on a younger age?
Never sign a contract too lightly. To always read the contract before you sign it, and that would have been it. And also maybe, mm, no, maybe that, yeah, yeah, because then whatever it is, it's fate. A lot of stuff that happens in your musical life happens also by chance, and you react the best way you can, and then after you say, oh, I should have done this and that, but maybe not. So you do the best you can with what you got, and so that's what it is basically. So but yes, be careful when you sign a contract. That's very important. I was like, when I first moved, and some you can pay a high price for that. A lot of problems.
Yeah. If you could go back in time and go to any music concert you wish, what would that be?
Music concert? You mean like a concert or concept?
Concert,
A concert that I would have been there to would love to see live.
right?
Well, yeah, probably it would be the Duke Ellington Sacred Concerts. That famous
Okay.
performers, and but of course, I would have loved to see Charlie Parker live, because I was told by the musicians who, Jimmy and the musicians who were working with him, were friends with him, that just to listen to Bird live was a particular type of experience that you cannot get out of the records. So I would have loved to just be there and experience that. And Billie Holiday too, live. That's another artist that I think would have been so much different to really be in the audience for her concerts, particularly. Wish I would have. Maybe that famous whatever town hall, no, Carnegie Hall concert when she made the comeback. I would like to be there in the audience and see that. Many. Mm.
One musician you wish, dead or alive, you wish you could sit down for a cup of coffee and a chat, or a wine and a chat?
Dizzy Gillespie. Yeah, I would have so many things to ask him, but really can say Dizzy Gillespie.
Okay, no more question from my side. Just you were talking about an album that you're in the middle of. You need to finish.
Completing, put the final touches. Yeah, that one will hopefully we're thinking about putting it out, finishing in mid-April, and then hopefully putting out in a few months. And that's a duo album with Cyrus Chestnut. The other thing is a project I have with Chucho Valdez that we already started, but we had to let it hang. A lot of things hanging. It's like a hole in the middle of all these projects, but we wanna get back to it. And this is the mostly in Spanish. It's boleros and different type of music. That's another project. And also, I want to do another album with the rhythm section. So I'll be thinking a lot about recording after the pandemic. Also because I think that the concerts are not gonna really come back so soon. So and I have a lot of music that I worked on that I wanted to do, a lot of lyrics. Oh, I think I forgot to mention, I finished before the pandemic. The production will resume probably in a while, but it's done. It's a project I did with Pablo Ziegler. And Pablo Ziegler is a phenomenal pianist who was part of Astor Piazzolla's quintet for many, many years. This year is also the 100th anniversary of Astor Piazzolla's birth. He would be 100. So I recorded with his group an album. It's his music. It's amazing composer with his group, and it's a mixture of Argentinian nuevo tango and even Argentinian folkloric music and jazz. So I'm very happy about that project. The music is off the chain. The songs are incredibly gorgeous. And so that's something else too but that's done. It depends just on the production now. Actually we finished it a month before the pandemic, before it gets crazy. Feels like there's a hole in the middle. Yeah, so that's a project that I'm very excited about. Yeah.
Okay, we have a lot to look forward to. As we mentioned before, if nothing would happen in Europe, can always come to Israel.
I'm thinking about it. I was thinking about that to Tamir because we're friends with Tamir. We talk on the phone. So he called me the other day, and I was telling him, "What do you think about why don't we go to Israel in the summer?" Also another great Israeli.
He's talking when he's usually walking his dog.
I know, right? It's like he's always in the open air or when he's in the car. But another great Israeli musician, and he lives next door to me, is Yotam Silverstein. Yotam, a great guitar player. So I should talk with him too. As actually
he was with you in the Dizzy Gillespie band, right?
Yeah. Oops, somebody's. Hold on a sec. Yeah, and he's from I think he's from Tel Aviv. Yeah, originally, but he lives here. His wife too is from Tel Aviv. He's a phenomenal guitarist. So yeah, I know that he just got vaccinated. So
yeah, your Tom is a good friend and he's a wonderful musician.
Oh, it's incredible. Yeah.
So I think we're going to open up the stage for some questions. I mean, yeah, we have some questions at the chat, but guys, if you want to speak out, use the raise hand option. It moved to the reaction button in the bottom of the. If you click on the reaction icon, you can find raise hand thing, and I can unmute you.
The chat, but it's too small for me to read. I'm sorry.
Okay, so
maybe you
I'm
can
going to
read
read
the
that
questions for me because I can't really see that.
Okay, so I'm going to read that. And Oren asks two questions. First, who's your favorite Italian jazz player now?
Oh yeah, Um, there are many great Italian jazz players, many. Um, Many Italian players that I played a lot with that are fantastic, like Dado Moroni, probably Enrico Rava is a good friend. But now there's a new generation of really great players. Actually, last 2 summers ago, I say last summer because there's a whole of a year. It's
Yeah,
two
there's a
summers ago.
gap.
Oh my God, it's like being in a coma for a year. 2 summers ago, I did a concert with my band, and I invited a great trumpet player from my hometown. His name is Fabrizio Bosso.
Bosso. Yeah,
He's one of the, to me, he's one of the best trumpet players in the world now.
yeah.
He's phenomenal. It reminds me even a little bit of Roy, because he's one of those players who has a lot of power and really technically very strong, but he's got a great lyricism in playing ballads, and I really think he's amazing. There's a lot of great Italian musicians now. And off the top of my head, I would say Fabrizio, because of this close recent experience I had, and we had a lot of fun. Mm. Ooh, bunch of
And
great.
in the second question
Emanuele
by Oren, I'm sorry.
I'm sorry, I should have said Emanuele Cisi, great saxophone player. I would like to mention this thing because I did an album with Emanuele Cisi, who's a tenor saxophone player, very good. And the album has several really good Italian musicians, plus Greg Hutchinson on drums, who now lives in Italy. And it's a work on the music of Lester Young, and I got to do 2 or 3 tunes. It was interesting because um, I wrote, I adapted some of the lyrics of a great poet from San Francisco, David Metzer, about Lester Young, on a solo of Lester Young, the famous one, These Foolish Things. The album is called No Eyes. No Eyes. I'm happy about that. And Emanuele, yeah, is a good friend and a wonderful player. There's a lot of great players from Italy.
Our fan club, uh, we invited and we hosted Cheesy
Okay.
about 3 or 4 years ago. He
Aha.
played his I Love Supreme concert. And well, he's been
Actually, no, we're going to do this project called No Eyes on the music of Lester Young. We're going to do it at Torino Jazz Festival in the summer. Knock on wood, if it happens. So, yeah.
perfect. And Oren asked another question. With the album profits goes down with the shift to digital and streaming, how can a musician, let alone a jazz musician, earn? Just shows and gigs?
Yeah. So you imagine the tragedy that the pandemic has been for us, because allora, with the crash of the sales of the CDs, not the CDs were selling God knows how much in the past, because before you recoup the money that the record company gave you as an advance, you don't really make money on the sales unless you sell before. I'm talking about before, in the CD economy, you would have to sell a huge amount of copies, which are not necessarily consistent with the amount of copies that you would sell with the jazz album, more maybe with a pop album, and then you would start to earn. So first of all, we never really earned that much money on on CD sales, but with the crash of the CD era, yeah, we don't make any money, and it's gotten to the point where the object of the CD, yeah, we press a few ones, maybe to bring to Japan, where the audience like, or to the Far East. There's a tradition where the audience likes to buy the CD and get the autograph. But in the rest of the world, people just downloads things from Spotify. I don't get anything from that, and so what remains for us for revenue is the live, and that's why we've been literally killing ourselves and going around and playing. It's tough. Um, there's talks about people saying, oh, the jazz musician in the future has to learn how to make money from different lines of income. But it's a wonderful concept, but so far the only other line of income is through teaching, because nobody's gonna endorse. What are we gonna do? The level of popularity of jazz does not allow us to become, I don't know, sponsoring for a product or whatever. You would have to get to level of popularity that are beyond what jazz artists are. And in order to do that, you would have to have an exposure on media, on mainstream media, that we don't have. So it's the cat that bites his own tail. And so we're left mostly with the revenue, mostly with the live revenue. Yeah. So that's what it is. And we'll see where this leads. Or streaming, but streaming it's tough. So for young jazz musicians, if you want to get into jazz, it's not, you have to realize it's not the fastest way to buy yourself a Lamborghini. It's gonna take a long time. But if you like it, hey, you gotta really be passionate about it. Yeah.
So I'm gonna ask. I'm gonna take one or two more questions, and then I'm gonna let you answer your phone. If that's okay.
Yeah. I mean, just give me a second, because it's my mom who calls me. Just a minute. I'm gonna mute myself.
חבר'ה, אם יש לכם שאלות, אורן, אם יש לך עוד שאלה? אם לא, אז תוריד את היד, אם כן, תשאיר אותה. עמיחי, אני אתן לך לענות. מיד. בזמן הזה שאנחנו משוחחים, קבילו שלח לי תמונות של רוברטה בניו יורק, אז אני אשלח לכם את זה במייל ביום שבת. תודה קביליו, אם אתה שומע. בואו נראה מה יש כאן. She's back.
I can go. We talk every day many times, so. But I told her, don't worry.
As long as she's fine and healthy.
Yeah, no, she's doing very good. I'm just worried because the vaccinations, it would be, her time would come already, but they're so slow.
Yeah.
So I'm really eager for her to get vaccinated so we can get together finally after a year.
I'm going to ask, I'm going to open the stage to Amichai.
Ciao Roberta, buonasera. Well, I would like to say, first of all, two things that I saw you in the Blue Note, but I saw some years before Dizzy Gillespie. And I think there is a line and there is a connection between the performances and I saw them, I heard them in the same place in the Blue Note, and it is something so you get into the heart of people. To see you live, it's really, really something that
thank you.
So special. And I think that even in the interview today, we felt how honest you are, and the same and it's the same on the stage. So I recommend to everyone to see you live, and I hope that we will see you here in Israel. So
thank you.
Thank you so much.
I appreciate. Thank you.
Okay, I'm looking for another one. Yotam says he wants to ask, but now I don't seem to find him. Yotam, if you can, please raise your hand so I can find you. If not, I'll have to ask Roberta later on, after in a few days, all
Yeah.
your other questions, and then you'll get your answers. Guys, it's been an honor and a pleasure, Roberta,
My pleasure.
to have you here.
Thank you, guys. Thank you.
Um,
My pleasure.
just let's pray together that for this, for the safety and the health of
Yeah.
all our friends and relatives, and the older and the elder jazz legends that are still among us.
Yeah.
And hopefully things will get back to its usual self, and we'll be able to just talk about music, nothing
Yeah.
more.
Exactly. Exactly. So yeah. Thank you, guys, and I hope to get to Israel soon. For some reason I never got the chance. I got a lot of inquiries, and then it never got in the right moment. But I know, I know a lot of Israeli musicians, and fantastic. I just really would love to be there. I hear the cuisine is also great. So
And now the restaurants are open finally after
yeah,
a year. So
there's an Israeli restaurant, right nearby. Yotam hit me to it. It's called Batata. Batata. We go get all kinds of stuff. That pancake that you eat in the morning. I forgot the name. He took me there and said, "That's it. You will like it." So,
okay.
all right.
So thank you so much. Guys,
Thank
have a good evening. Roberta, have a good afternoon.
Thanks for tuning in.
And
Thank
we'll talk
you. See you
soon.
very
Bye-bye.
soon. Grazie. Ciao, ciao. Ciao,
Ciao.
Barak. Grazie. Thank you.